Hello, welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a while since I've done a sit down video, which I'm getting back into that. I'll be honest, I love editing vlogs. Like, they're honestly so fun. They take too long. I would go 2 weeks in between each one because it just takes so long on top of like working and everything. So I'm gonna try and get into a balance of like primarily focusing on sit down type of videos, more like structured videos because it'll just be easier for me to actually edit and have that on a schedule, and then like adding in the occasional vlog because I do enjoy making them. It just takes a lot longer because I'm such a perfectionist when it comes to it. But regardless, I think that kind of weaves into today's topic about being a multifaceted woman, just trying to figure out how to be disciplined and focused when you have so many interests. I think I've always struggled with the fact of trying to like box myself into a specific interest or passion or value that I have, when in reality, like having all of those intertwined makes me who I am. I've learned the hard way that keeping yourself stuck in like one specific lane is never beneficial to you as a person because then you feel like you're neglecting parts of you. And some people have just always been multifaceted, like they just have lots of different interests, lots of different passions and values all in one. But it also comes with growth. Like when you're growing up, aging, moving around, learning new things, you gain new interests and values that align with who you are. With that comes the struggle, at least for me, of trying to be disciplined and focused and honoring all of those different parts of you. So today I'm just gonna talk about some of the tips that I am working on myself, and hopefully maybe that'll help you out if you are someone who is kind of struggling with how to be disciplined and focused with your many interests. Let's face it, there are certain interests that like take priority, but then maybe as you like work through them or as you've done them for a while, you realize, okay, this doesn't need to be my priority anymore in life. I want to shift focus, like pivoting. That's something we'll talk about too. So if you're interested, keep on watching it. So a little bit more about just me personally and how I kind of see myself as a multifaceted person. Like my career, for example, very driven in my career. I'm very passionate about social impact, social issues. So I've worked in like political spaces, advocacy spaces, health, financial empowerment for women business owners. These are all different interests that I have, but also I have my superficial interests and passions. I'm also a party girl, but I like to be really driven in my professional life. I love books, and you will catch me reading a romance book at the same time as I'm reading a book about systemic issues and oppression. I just feel like I have so many different interests and passions and values, and I've always felt like I need to keep them siloed. Or like I need to be the political advocacy girl. I can't be the fashion girl too. Like I can't be the party girl too. Like, I've always felt these different conflicting battles in me. And the thing is I want to grow in all of these different categories that I have in my life. But with that comes knowing how to focus on certain things in certain parts of your life. And there's also a lot of real world examples of women who are super multifaceted, like Misty Copeland, for example. I think she's the first prima ballerina for the American Ballet Theater. She's a ballerina, but she's also a philanthropist. She's very committed to ensuring that there's like less discrimination, at least no discrimination in the ballet world, ensuring diversity. Of course, Michelle Obama. And so one way I think we can be better disciplined and focused as multifaceted people is in just remembering you have different lanes in your life. Your different interests can kind of preoccupy different lanes in a way. So for example, like for me, like my career has primarily been in like the advocacy space, like I was saying. So that's where I can really like dive into my passion for humanitarian issues, social good, helping people. Like that's where I can really hone in on that primarily. And of course, in like other parts of my life, like maybe volunteering or content, I can also delve into that. But I feel like my career is really where I've been able to prioritize that part. Like my hobbies, so that's where a lot of like my creativity and beauty and that kind of stuff really aligns. And who knows, like, yes, you have multiple lanes where you can focus your different interests, but these lanes can shift. Say, for example, I decided, oh, I want to work more in like the beauty fashion space. That can switch. So then my career is more focused on the beauty fashion, which was originally my hobbies. And then now my hobby or like my side hustle, volunteering, is in social good. So it's really okay for your passions and interests to shift priorities, like I was saying. It's just making sure that you kind of know where to focus your energy and time. And I also say multifaceted people, like, they just know that they have different lanes in their life. Like they know they are like an entrepreneur or a business person or really successful in their career, 9 to 5, but they also may have like side business, or they also may be an influencer. They might have a foundation, a nonprofit. You are the foundation, like the root of the tree, and then the branches are your different interests. You also need to understand your why to ensure that you're being disciplined and focused in your life. Because if you don't know like where your like true North Star is, what your true passion is, then it's really easy for you to go off course and get distracted and not really feel aligned with what you want to do, what you like, who you are. That's really like the onus of creating your personality as well, knowing your why. And it doesn't have to be anything like crazy, like saving the world. Like it doesn't even have to be that big or broad. It can literally be, I want to look cute every single day. Like I don't, it can be something superficial, it can be something small, but just knowing like what wakes you up in the morning. Like what is your drive? What is your passion? Because I know some people are able to live life and not really have a motivator. What I've realized is when I know, when I am remembering my motivations, my inspirations, that really helps me just feel determined to go after everything I want. And that just comes with being ambitious too. And let's face it, if you don't know who you are, what you want out of life, I feel like it's so much harder for you to stick to something, for you to be consistent on something. And inconsistency is never helpful because you're always circling back to the beginning, circling back to the beginning because you are never finishing something fully. Or you may like stop doing something, but you don't even realize like why you don't want to follow through. It makes it harder for you to stick to your promises to yourself and maybe to other people because you literally don't even know like what you want to do. So like understanding your why, like what is your personal motivation and ambitions out of this life, because why, like, I just truly cannot fathom like just living life without knowing like why you want to wake up every day and be your best self. You know what I mean? It sounds a little morbid. Like even on the days when I literally am not motivated to do any of like my goals, I still have like this drive, like this little voice in the back of my head saying, yes, like you are here to do something important. You may not know what it is right now because you are just distracted by everything going on in life, but you know you're here to do something. I think it's so important for you to do the work. I mean, it could be as serious as going to a therapist to understand like what is your driver, or as simple as literally writing down everything that you like, everything that inspires you, people who inspire you, things you've always been curious about, like writing all of that down to understand like what is your why and what are things that you want to do and make out of this life. Like I'd rather be this kind of sentimental person when I think about the things that I do, this intentional person, that's the better word that I'm thinking of, rather than being someone who just is floating through life and not really growing and you're being stagnant. Like I hate that feeling, and I did make a video earlier this year about like being stagnant and how it's so it's like the worst feeling ever. So that's why I like to always, you know, check in with myself to know like, okay, am I doing this for my passion? Is this like, you know, towards my why? Like certain big decisions that I'm making, because not every decision, you know, is towards your passion, but like big decisions like career, where you live, how you spend your time after work. Understanding your why can help you stay on course. You also really need to get good at prioritization. You need to understand which interests should take up most of your space right now. Let's face it, when you have a lot of interest, when you have a lot of things that you want to do, even in one day, you have so many things you want to do on your schedule. It can get really complicated, really difficult when you're not able to prioritize what's most important right now, like what needs your attention right now. Organize your life properly. Understand like what is your priority for today? What is your priority for this week? What is your priority for the month? For the quarter, for the year? I use a lot of things to help with prioritization and organization. I really like using Notion. I talk about Notion a lot. It's so aesthetically pleasing. I can be very superficial, and honestly, if something looks pretty and is easy and cute for me to organize my life, I will use it. So I really love using Notion. Like I love using the templates and making it work for me and to organize all the different pieces, moving pieces in my life. And it's also really good for goal setting, which is a big part of prioritization and things like that. Google Calendar is essential, or some kind of calendar system is essential. That is super helpful for visually organizing your life. I am a visual person, so I need to see, like, I need to see the blocks. I need to see the time blocking. Like, okay, from 6 to 8, this is what we're doing. Okay, bet. I just like making my life easy with these kinds of tools. I say these same tools all the time because they work for me. Knowing what works for you in terms of organizing your life and sticking to it can really help you stay disciplined and on track. Art of pivoting. I think multifaceted people are very good at knowing when to shift and turn directions. It's really easy to know when you need to make a pivot when you know your why. Because if you are keeping yourself stuck in situations that don't align with your interests, then you're wasting your time. You're learning, but what you're learning is you should have left, that you should have pivoted. So knowing So knowing when it's time to go and trusting your gut in those situations is really important. And my last thought tip for this topic is something I'm like, realizing is life is never going to be balanced when you are multifaceted and you're trying to like be focused and disciplined. There will be days where you're not disciplined, and it's okay because we're human. We need change as humans. You can't always be like doing the same routine all the time. But your life is never fully going to be balanced, especially if you have a lot of interests that you're working on at the same time. Certain interests and certain passions, they take up more time. Like if you're trying to start a business, that's going to take up so much time, especially if you are also working on top of that. So you may not get as much sleep sometimes. You may get a lot of sleep one day and not have enough time to work on your dream. You may have family situations to deal with, friend situations to deal with. Just understanding and accepting that life won't be balanced is a helpful starting point to kind of realizing that, okay, my life won't be balanced, but I can try and like focus on certain things each day at a time. So not beating yourself up. Those are my tips and thoughts about being multifaceted and learning how to be disciplined and focused. I hope you enjoyed this video and I can't wait to see you guys in the next one.